All right, welcome back, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. It's getting chillier around here. Fall is in the air, and I am in denial. I'm in a hat and a sweatshirt today, but down below, I'm wearing shorts and flip flops. So I stay in denial as long as possible here in the Midwest. I'm not a huge fan of cold weather, so I'm looking at some point in the near future to be in warmer weather in Florida later this winter. So anyway, hope you guys are doing well. I wanted to talk about a couple things, and I might post this video to both my Sending Lions with Ethan Galstad channel and my High Fire Awakening channel, because a lot of the topics I want to talk about, they cross over, right? They're a cross between kind of news and just emotional stuff and spirituality, consciousness, prayer, meditation, all that kind of stuff. So you'll probably see it if you're subscribed to both channels. You'll see it in both places. I want to talk about a couple things. I mentioned last night I put out a video on Australia. If you pay attention, if you're not paying attention to Australia, you really should. It is the test bed for, what the crazies out there in the world, what they want to do, and it's really coming down hard, especially recently for Australians, especially in places like Melbourne and other places as well, Sydney. And it's not just limited to those two places, but especially like in Melbourne, a lot of videos have been coming out. Just police are being super brutal and just way heavy-handed with people, and it's clear, like, they're just on the side of wrong. History is going to put them on the wrong side, right? The good thing is their tactics, their behavior is waking up a lot of people. And a lot of people are speaking out, not only in Australia, but in the US and elsewhere. People are starting to pay more attention to what's happening in Australia, and this is a really good thing. And it's only by standing up and speaking out when we see wrong happening in the world that we can actually affect change. There's a time and place for nonviolence and, just sitting in quiet meditation and all that kind of stuff. But, I am not somebody who just practices nonviolence. I don't advocate for that, because when you are faced with imminent danger, when you are, when you're confronted with force and it's directed at you, I believe you have a solemn duty and right. And you have, whether it's like a soul contract or a cosmic karmic initiative or whatever, that you need to fight back. You need to defend yourself, defend other people, but then you need to overpower your assailant, because if you don't, they're not going to stop. I remember, like, I'm fortunate, like, I haven't really, I don't think I've ever hit anybody, at least as an adult. I'm fairly non-confrontational, and I stay out of like stupid, situations where people end up getting in bar fights. It's just like dumb. But when I was a kid, in grade school, I was pretty young. I probably like 9 or maybe 10. I don't know, something like that. I had forgotten about this, but my dad told me this just a couple years ago, sitting around the dinner table, I think at Thanksgiving maybe. And I said, I said, I don't think I've ever hit anybody. He's like, did you forget? In grade school you did. There was a bully that, used to like follow me home, and I guess must have beat me up like once or twice. And I think I repressed that memory into adulthood, because it was probably pretty traumatic. But even more traumatic, and I realized probably why I repressed it, is that, my dad taught me to fight back. And once I fought back, like, the bully stopped. But in order to teach me to fight back, man, I remember, like, he strapped on, I don't know what he strapped on my hands, whether it was socks or like, actually, I think it was like those the chopper winter gloves. They don't have fingers in them. They're just like, you stick your whole hand in them. But he had me put those on, and he had me hit him as hard as I could, and on the head too. And I remember that was just like horrible for me to do that. I think I started crying after I did that. I didn't want to hurt my dad. So that's probably why I repressed that memory. But it's a really good example that, when you stand up to a bully, you fight back, they stop. I think I only had to do this once. Like, I was probably so scared of that kid when he confronted me the next time. And I was probably so fucking angry that he made me have to learn to fight back by hitting my dad, that I probably beat the shit out of him. I don't remember it. I've like lost memory of that whole event and probably repressed it. But you have to be able to do that. And here's the deal. Like in Australia, the tradespeople in the U.S. we call these tradespeople. These are like carpenters, the people that build homes, the people, welders, plumbers, HVAC, all that kind of stuff, electricians. Everybody's considered to be in the trades. In Australia, I think they call them the tradies. Basically, the construction workers have recently been protesting. I think they started to protest about the fact that their employers were gonna, or the government, or maybe the employers on their own, were going to force that they get the jab, and they were like, hell no. So they were protesting, and then the police force came out, and I think they've got private security there too, and probably some military, and just they've been using really heavy tactics, and they've been profiling people. Like just last night, I saw that the police were like stopping and questioning people because they looked to be wearing clothing, like the high visibility, the bright yellow, kind of jackets that construction workers that you see working on the road would wear. And they were stopping and questioning people if they thought they looked like a tradesperson. And it's like, okay, well, tell me that isn't profiling. That fits right in line with, oh, you look black, oh, you look yellow, you look white, you look purple, you come with me, we're going to detain you and question you. But that's not surprising. Government does that kind of stuff all the time. So they've been doing that. But I was so, like the people, the tradespeople are like a great group of people to piss off. And I'm so glad they pissed them off, because like the tradespeople in the US that I met, they're really down to earth, good people, very good people, no nonsense, no bullshit people. And they're not politically correct. And they're strong. Like they do a lot of work with their, bodies. So they're strong. And so these are the wrong group of people to piss off. And so I'm glad that they did. And one of the videos I saw, it was just so, I was just like, oh, this is so awesome. This is amazing. Like a line of police officers or security cops or whoever were, trying to block these guys from protesting and moving down the street. And basically, they just pushed on through and just knocked them to the ground, knocked the police to the ground. And it's like this kind of stuff. It's like, this is an example of where, you have to make your voice heard, and sometimes that's using your body to like get the fuck out of my way, right? Don't constrain me, don't jail me, don't imprison me, don't try to silence me, don't try to hurt me or hurt somebody else around me. I'm not going to put up with that shit. And it's like I just laughed when I saw that, and that's the kind of thing we need. And folks, these people are showing up with like, definitely like the. It's like the riot squad, the SWAT team type of equipment and munitions. And it can seem overkill. Like there's no way that you or I could overcome that. And it's not true at all. These people that are actually enforcing these messed up things that the government says that, people should obey, these enforcers of these evil, messed up dictates, they're pretty small in numbers. They might look scary, might look intimidating, wearing their helmets and their black outfits, and they got their black guns, which are super scary. Those are the super scary kind if they're colored black. If they're pink, they're not so dangerous, but if they're black, they look super scary. And they got all their stuff, they got the shields, and they look really tough, right? But they're not. And they are really outnumbered massively by the people of any given country, any given city, any given town, any given area. And, a lot of people say, well, Australians shouldn't have given up their guns. And I agree. I think, owning firearms is, it's pretty important. It allows you to overcome somebody who is attacking you. And, it basically levels the playing field, and it keeps you at a distance. You don't need to be up close and personal. And grandma can defend herself against a 300-pound quarterback using a small handgun, but she wouldn't be able to up close and personal against such an attacker. So it's an equalizer in many ways. But just because somebody doesn't have, like say in Australia, in many other places, you don't have, you're not allowed to have firearms. And so people might feel like they have no way of overcoming that. And it's like, no, 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 no. So many different ways. All you got to do is look back at, just look at videos like, I mean, they're messed up. They're messed up. They're coming out of like places like Afghanistan where the Taliban or ISIS or somebody is, they're stoning somebody. Those videos are not fun to watch at all. But it goes to show you that age-old techniques of injuring or hurting or killing somebody are still effective today. It's not like just because we have technology and AR-15s that other stuff can't be used. So I just picture this. Just picture like a whole bunch of riot cops and military just walking down the street. Really, really, just really tough. Maybe I won't put this on High Fire Awakening. I don't know. We'll see. That's supposed to be about meditation and all this stuff. And some of the stuff I'm talking about maybe doesn't fit there. Who knows? I'll put it out there. Probably. We'll see. But, they're going down the street. All I picture in my mind is like a bunch of dudes like on the top of buildings like 2 or 3 stories up, like hurling a bunch of bricks down at them. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't really care what I have on in terms of like body protection shit, but if somebody starts throwing bricks at me from like a 2 or 3 story building, I'm gonna get the hell out of there. And if enough people are doing that, you get overwhelmed. Here's the thing, like people always say, well, you should have a gun for home defense. And I've told them, I'm like, yeah, it's smart to have, but here's the deal, like numbers of people overwhelm force. I said, look, it's the same principle as, let's say you own a gas station convenience store and you got a security guard there, like watching the door so nobody gets in there and steals anything, or a department store or whatever. But then you've got these flash mobs that come in and just like 30 or 40 people run in and steal crap and destroy stuff, whatever it is they're gonna do. You're overwhelmed. You can't deal with that level of force. You can deal with 1 or 2 people, but not like 30 or 40. Same thing with like home invasion stuff. Like you can, a firearm or some other mechanism can deal with 1 or 2 people. But I tell you, like, if you've got like 30 or 40 people swarming your house, coming in every single window and door that you've got, like, save one in the chamber, is all I can say, because you're not going to be able to do it. That's the reality. It's a fantasy to think that you can overcome that number, unless you're like fucking James Bond, and you and I are not James Bond. But the same principle applies to the bad actors from the government or private security or military or whatever, is that, swarms of people overrun like the power they have. They come in marching on their horses, and because they want to push people around and frighten people. It's like, you know what? I'm pretty sure you could probably scare a horse pretty fucking easily, and the horse would probably buck its rider off pretty quickly, and then the rider is like left, kind of defenseless because they thought they were on something that was just going to take care of them and protect them. It's not the case. So, age-old stuff can be used pretty effectively. You don't need to have a pitchfork. You don't need to have a Molotov cocktail. You can have, trash that you throw at people. You can have eggs. You can have oil. You can have manure that you spray on people. If the farmers of the world or of Australia got together, just like they did at one point, I think it was in France. This is an awesome video for me to see, where they took like their fertilizer spreader. They had like a gun on it where it just shot it out of a gun, like a cannon. And they just sprayed fertilizer over like the parliament or one of these castles where these freaks live. And but just imagine that, like all the riot police, all the detention squads in Australia or wherever, you just get covered. Imagine you being in that position, and even if you like love your job, you love beating people, hurting them, but you get covered in shit, like literal shit, like manure. Like if you haven't been around cattle and cows and you don't know what that smells like, especially the concentrated stuff, man, that they spray on like fields, it's pretty nasty. And if you were to, be near that, you'd want to move away. And if you got covered in it, you'd want to get out of the clothing or the equipment that you were in, and you're done. I mean, what are you going to do when manure clogs up your AR-15? You know what I mean? Or, it's like anything. Like, I mean, BLM protests, like, I mean, we just got a bunch of assholes like rioting and burning stuff. I mean, there were good people that got behind the cause, and I think it was misguided. Theoretically, they had a lot of people had good hearts, but whatever. I'm talking about the bad actors, the people that burn shit down. But in Antifa in the U.S., and Antifa is actually spread around the world now. I've seen videos of it. I think in Canada, UK, Australia, Canada and Australia. I think Antifa is there at least. But they use like fireworks, like these mortar type fireworks that you normally, like at big, celebrations, you'll see them shoot way up in the sky and explode. Well, you light one of those things off, you point them down the road. It causes a lot of confusion, and it'll sure as hell spook the horses or whatever kind of animals you've got there. And it creates an environment that's not very pleasant for somebody to be in. These are the kind of tactics that people can use. And so never feel that you are overwhelmed by stuff like this. This video is actually going to talk about a couple subjects. If you made it this far, thank you. I'm going to switch topics here, but never feel overwhelmed. We the people hold the ultimate power. We have the ability to. Oftentimes we abdicate that power. Oftentimes we think somebody else can do it, or we think there's not a need to protect ourselves or our freedoms, and that's when things go wrong in life. But anyway, never feel that we are outgunned, as it were. Understand that the power lies with us, as it should be. And the governments of the world are so corrupt and just such monsters. All governments of the world basically need to be reset. And that's a really nice way for all governments of the world basically need to be destroyed, to crumble. People's faith in politicians and governments need to end. I've talked about this before. Same thing with the financial system. We have been enslaved our entire lives. So were our parents, so were our grandparents. We need to change that. And the only way to change that is to burn down, as it were, the old and build anew. So, but never feel that you're outgunned, that you're outnumbered, that there's no way that you can overcome great odds. So we can do that. I've seen a lot of good things with, like in the United States, there aren't the same type of protests that we've seen around the rest of the world, but I've seen a lot of videos coming out about, with people attending school board meetings and speaking out against, masks and other types of mandates and all that kind of goofy stuff. So, which is really good, really awesome to see. In the U.S., like one of the things that happened last Friday, I think, or last week, well, we had two videos that came out. One was Friday, and I think the other was Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe, from Project Veritas. And they interviewed people, insiders inside the U.S., and like somebody from Health and Human Services, Health Services, and I think the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, that, they basically blew the whistle on some of the stuff that's happening, like with just adverse effects not being reported, and you combine that stuff with people who are elsewhere, like the funeral director that Max Egan interviewed. And there's a new video up on Max Egan's channel today that popped up. I listened to it. It was another message from the funeral director. It's a good one. You should go watch it. But stuff like this keeps happening. Really, really good stuff. And people are the illusion, the veil, as it were, is starting to develop cracks, develop tears. It's starting to, more and more people are starting to look behind the curtain. More and more people are starting to wake up. And this is the time we're in, folks. This is the age of Aquarius. This is the apocalypse, apocalypto. It's the lifting of the veil. This is it, right here. And this is the time, it's an incredibly unsettling time to be alive, but it is also an incredibly amazing time to be alive. And we have the opportunity to make a huge impact in the world around us. And I know it doesn't always feel like that, but we do. And I think that's why we're here. I think that's why you and I decided to come here now, to be a part of this messed up clown show and to help it get back to a better spot. Because, there's no way in hell, like, I did not fucking come here. There's no way I came here to see this thing go to shit. I mean, I know that, I could just ignore the world, tune it out, and live a pretty good life for a while. Who knows? Because things change so rapidly, it might not be so good. But I know that I don't want to see the world around me fall to shit, and I want the world to be a much better place for my kids, my grandkids, and everyone. But we're here to do something. I did not sign up for some bullshit like ride into some fucking zombie apocalypse where like the cabal has like everybody like under some zombie like trance and kills off a good portion of humanity. I didn't sign up for that shit. Hopefully we are not going to see that. There are a lot of people I've seen people talking about different things that are useful, can be useful, have shown to be useful, I guess, and counteracting some of the blood clotting issues that have been found from people who have gotten the jab. And also there's some methods, I guess, to counter the spike proteins, counter the some of the other shit in there that's the graphene oxide stuff. So that I guess somebody found in like all 4 of the major, pharma vials, but I don't know. So anyway, I wasn't too careful what I said there with graphene oxide. We'll see what happens to this video. I don't know, but there are ways that I just heard. Actually, I heard that on a video from Nicholas I'm gonna screw up his last name now. Nicholas Veniamin on BitChute. He's got a channel. I'll try to link to his channel as well as Max Egan's channel on BitChute again in the description of this one, because Nicholas Veniamin just had a guest called Tamara on, and she was talking about, they talked a little bit about Australia and then about the spike proteins and the blood clotting, stuff like that, and just some different protocols that people are trying and that they're seeing some success in, which is good. And so this is something like, if you are someone who's gotten the jab or somebody who has, you might want to watch videos like that. Watch that video that Nicholas put out and see if it might help. Some of the things that are supposed to be helpful, surprise, surprise, the government has banned, because why would you want to let people like heal themselves? So let's just like criminalize a bunch of stuff like cannabis that has helped people that have had like terrible seizures and pain in their life, help them get to a better place. So let's criminalize that and then try to stick them on painkillers or whatever it is that we can prescribe them and have them take like a daily pill or a weekly injection or whatever. There's no money to be made in that's significant in a plant that grows naturally out in the wild. There's not a whole lot of money, not in comparison to what the pharmaceutical companies get. So this is, like the, what was like a quinine was supposed to be really good. Quinine and zinc. A quinine, I think, is like one of the forms of it. They like don't let you get it or make it really hard to get like in the United States, but you can make it on your own. Like it's found naturally in tonic water, and you can make it with like grapefruit peels and stuff. You can find videos on how to do that stuff, which seems to me it's like that puts it in reasonable reach of most everybody. Most everybody, not everybody, but there's some people that have been jabbed and they just live in like third world countries where they don't have much, which means a lot of these things might not be available to them. But they also might have a lot less messed up regulations when it comes to like how you can treat yourself in terms of like health and medications and supplements and all that stuff. So they might be in a better position in that respect. So anyway, check that out. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, the time is up for these MFers, right? The time is up. I mean, so many people are starting to question the narrative and open their eyes, which is really good to see. It really gives me a lot of hope. And we just have to go through this, folks. Like, it sucks, like, to be awake, to see things, but we have to just be along for the ride, and we have to obviously pay attention to what's happening so that we can, prepare accordingly where necessary. And that's where I think it's like having some extra supplies, some extra food, having yourself in a good financial situation with wise investments can really be of benefit to you. But first of all, you got to have your health, you got to have your freedom, and then you can talk about finances in that order. If you're not healthy, it doesn't really matter if you're locked down or not. You have to have your health first, and then freedom, liberty is super important. Otherwise, the money. Not that money isn't important. Like if you live in a Soviet-style, Chinese communist-style country, having money gives you a lot of options, a lot more options than if you don't have money. So never underestimate the power of money. It's messed up that there are, things that you can't do that would be really beneficial to your just living a normal life if you don't have the money. But that's just the way it is with the messed up system that has enslaved mankind and been used for a long time. And this is one of the reasons why we need to change things in a big way in that respect. What else? I was going to talk about something else. Let's see, I talked about some protest stuff in Australia, overcoming force. What else did I talk about? Yeah, watch Nicholas Venyama's video and watch Max Egan's video from today too. The latest one, as of the time I'm recording this, he just published like an update from the funeral director. And, it's like the stuff that these people have seen in the morgues when they, the funeral director, like funeral director business probably is, you got a lot of friends, that are also funeral directors. It's not exactly like a normal desk job, right? So you've got a lot of contacts with other funeral directors from around the area in your country. And you talk to different people, pathologists and all that kind of stuff. So these kind of people are starting to speak out. And they're probably going to be censored, and they're going to be repercussions. This is always what happens for the first people that speak out. And we always need to remember those first people that speak out, because they deserve extra kudos, because they're putting themselves out there in the firing line. It's a lot easier when you are like the 300th person in your industry to speak out. It gets a lot easier, but to be that first person, that's tough when you are, you're the target basically of really powerful organizations, criminal organizations, whether they are government entities or social media companies or whatever. They're all criminal organizations in my opinion. But yeah, anyway, I think that's it for today. I know there's something else I'm going to talk to you about, and I know I'm going to remember just as I'm uploading this video. That's the way these things work, but we're heading on close to half an hour here, so this is probably where I'm going to end it. I'll give it another minute or so and see if anything else comes to my mind. Oh yeah, as usual, especially I say this on High Fire Awakening, like pray, meditate, visualize really good things happening, right? Send light, love, peace, but also send some whoop ass. Like this channel's called Sending Lions, and on High Fire Awakening I've talked about spiritual warfare, because like you're not, in my opinion, it's like you're not meant to just sit around and just like, pray all day and just like meditate and listen to calming, soothing music. You got to get out. Sometimes you got to kick some ass, and sometimes you have to swear, and sometimes you need to smoke, and you need to drink, and you need to do all that stuff. That's part of life. So don't think that you have to do any one thing, but just pray for divine intervention. Pray for like a whatever kind of ending you think the bad guys deserve, right? There's a lot of, that's their karma and shit. They've earned it. Visualize, meditate, I think is super important. I do a lot of meditation on a regular basis throughout the day. And if you want to learn more about that and you haven't done a whole lot, there's the easy peasy methods, to get started. You don't need to sit in a certain position and get your incense out and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty easy to get started. So jump on over to High Fire Awakening. I'll link to that channel in the description of this as well, to go check out my videos on that, on spiritual warfare. Even if you're not in a place where you are showing up in person to a protest where you want to go and, make sure, maybe you want to push somebody around. I'm not saying you should do that, but, maybe somebody deserves to be pushed around or pushed on the ground or whatever. But even if you aren't in that physical geographic location where you can do that, you can do that in your mind. It's called a thought form. When you do that, like when you just imagine that by your side, like you created a bunch of fucking lions that are on your side and they're fucking hungry. Like you're gonna send them out. Send those fucking lions out to bring back some bodies. and teach them a lesson, as it were. So send out your lions to protect other people, protect the kids especially. Kids are like a huge target of these dark cult people. They're a huge target. And children, from a spiritual, energetic perspective, have something that we as adults don't. There's like this beautiful, undefiled creation and imagination the kids have. And there's something that, to me, it's like even before I was a parent, but especially now that I'm a parent, it's like I just want to bring some real whoop ass on anybody who fucks with kids. And they're really pushing hard to fuck with kids. First they were you're pushing for jabs 12 and older. Now they're doing it, at least in the US. They're talking about it, and elsewhere like 5 and over. It's just really fucked up. I have nothing good to say for the people that are doing this at all. There's gonna be some serious karmic consequences for this kind of stuff. So imagine whatever the hell you want in your head. Picture that, pray for that, whatever. These people deserve it. I believe that when you do stuff like this, you generate like some massive negative karma. And I wish we lived in a world where there was like instant karma. Like if I were gonna do something bad or like go off, say something bad, I would want just like a little zap. Like I would want me to give myself a little zap, like a little correction. But when these, I wish we lived in a world where like if we found out about what somebody did, or just as somebody did something really bad to kids or whatever, like the hammer came down. And I would love to see that kind of world. So do whatever you need to do in prayer and meditation to just give it to those people who are very deserving of whatever it is that you want to send their way. They're used to, a lot of people in the spiritual community are like, oh, you should only send like light and love to everyone. I think I will post this video on High Fire Awakening too. I talked about a bunch of stuff here, but this crosses over. That if you're a godly person, if you're religious, you shouldn't attack other people, you shouldn't do whatever. I sort of believe like, you know what? Some days God's little helper comes in the form of someone who's gonna kick somebody else's ass. And do not be somebody who just won't stand up for others. Don't be somebody who's too timid, too afraid. I don't believe that you incur any negative kind of karma or consequences when you stand up for what is right. When you defend yourself, your family, defend others in need, especially those who cannot defend themselves. And that's like kids, right? That's the elderly, that's the disabled. And that's like who these fucking people like go after first, right? But not only do you not generate negative, I think you like get a gold star, right? It's like that's part of just growth. It's like you can add that to like your little whatever fucking badges the military likes to put on there. It's like this fucking rainbow of shit. It's like, all right, great, you served it, some war and captured some oil fields for our fucking masters. That's awesome. Did you guard some poppy fields too? Whatever. I have a great amount of respect for the individuals who go in with good intention to the military. But I am so fucking pissed off at the military as a whole. The military industrial complex and the governments that they answer to and the cabal that fucking controls them. It's just that you and I have to fucking go fight their battles. So there's no way in hell I am going to let my son be drafted into fucking military service for some fucking dark Sith Lord who wants some goddamn minerals hidden under the fucking desert sand halfway across the world. Fuck no. And people are like, oh, you shouldn't break the law. It's like, if the law becomes fucking unbearable and tyrannical, break the fucking law. If somebody were to ask me, Ethan, would you ever lie to the government? Or like, how could you do that? Like, break the law, become a felon? I'm like, did you miss out on a fucking history lesson? Because here's the way it went. The people who were felons, who were breaking the laws, are the people that were hiding Anne Frank in their house, in their attic. And the people that were good law-abiding citizens were the ones that took her and fucking killed her. So at some point, you have to say, fuck this. And that is your higher calling. That is doing God's work. That is bringing some whoop ass. It's giving the big middle finger to government and the establishment and all that shit. Stuff that we should have been doing for a long fucking time. I don't know why. Like the anti-war movement died out, like after the 60s. I feel like I was born like in the wrong decade. It was like the 60s was like make love, not war, man. It's like, let's get naked. Let's get naked more, and like, let's put down the fucking guns and give a big middle finger to fucking government. I would love it if like one day we were just like, fuck it, nobody's gonna pay any more taxes. Nobody's going to like ask for permission to get married or to drive a vehicle or to buy a house or to renovate a house. If we were all just like, fuck you, there's nobody around that could actually enforce it. Nobody could fucking enforce it. And if somebody tried to, you just give them, you know, a can of whoop ass. This is what we need. Anyway, I don't know if I'll post this on High Fire Awakening. I don't know. Anyway, if you're watching me on this channel, you're watching this video on High Fire Awakening where I've talked about different stuff. You know I've talked about spiritual warfare. And that's like bringing whoop ass, right? With meditation, with visualization. So it fits right in. So I think I will post it both places. So anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. Hope you guys are doing well. Focus on yourself. Get some inner peace every single day. Get out in nature. If you can't get out in nature, just picture yourself. Just close your eyes, picture yourself there. Listen to some good music. Do something you love every single day. We will get to a better place. We just got to walk through shit. Like there's a saying that is so appropriate. Like, you know, if you're going through hell, keep on walking. Like, don't get stuck in hell. Don't get stuck down in the mud. It's super easy. And I have to always remind this myself of this too. Like when I get down and depressed about the world or something in my life, I want to wallow in there, and I want to think, you know, sometimes like it's never going to get better. Like we're all screwed. And sometimes that'll last for even a couple days, but it's like, I have to get out of that. And so you have to pull yourself out of that. Do the best you can, whatever it takes. Take a breather. Realize that you were meant here, meant to come here, meant to be here at this time of the Great Awakening. This is it, folks. This is, it's not all fun and games. There's a bunch of shit we have to go through, but I believe on the other side of this, we will be in a much better position. And if we aren't, man, I'm gonna drop some fucking atom bombs on the other side of this life, and I'm gonna do whatever kind of whoop ass operations I can on the other side of life, you know, because what the fuck. Anyway, hope you guys are doing well. Until I see you guys next time, good luck, God bless, Godspeed.